Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhastidam Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. Ajnanam kalpanamulam samsarasya niyamakam hitvatmanam param brahma vidyan muktam sadabhayam. Kutasthasya brahmatmanah kasam karanatvam. How can Brahma, that is Atma, Kutastha changeless, karanatvam, how can it be karanam, the cause, as a material cause which must be vikari, and efficient cause which must be vyaparavat, possessed of activity? Iti ashankya rajjuvat sarvasya vivartadhishthanataya tasya karanatvam. So, that karanatvam, the causality of Brahman can be explained like the rope can be explained as the cause of the snake. Vivartadhishthanataya. This is possible only when the karyam, the effect, is just an appearance. This adhisthana karanatvam vivarta, meaning one thing appears to be different from what it is. Like viparita vartanam, the rope appears as a snake where the snakeness is totally absent in the rope. Similarly, Brahman, the limitless, appears as a limited creation. The conscious appears as unconscious creation. The non-dual appears as duality, division. Apparently, the universe seems to consist of the qualities that are quite contrary to Brahman, which is the cause, supposedly. This is not possible usually because the karam, the cause, must have the same class as the effect. If the pot is the effect, then the cause, clay, also must have the same quality as the pot. And as Sankhya said, that Prakriti is the cause. Prakriti consists of three gunas, is properly the cause of the universe, which is where we find the play of three gunas in the universe. So usually this is how the cause is inferred from the effect that we perceive or experience. That's how different philosophers have arrived at different nature of cause. But in that, the first assumption is that the universe, the karya, the effect that we experience is real, and from then they arrive at the nature of the cause. Vedanta says that the universe cannot be real. The division cannot be real. Because if division is real, then this Mahavakya Tattvamasi is not tenable. If Tattvamasi is true, is tenable, then non-duality alone is a reality. Then division and non-duality cannot coexist, so division cannot be reality. Division has to be appearance. So then you start from Tattvamasi. Or Aham Brahmasmi, Asaram Khalvidam Brahma, this is what the Upanishad says, that's a pramana. And then you try to explain, not that you take the universe for granted and then try to arrive at the truth. The Shruti reveals the truth, and then you understand that universe, the duality, division has to be only an appearance, not a reality. I mean, it can be negated. Appearance means it's incidental. It will give some reason. And when you negate that reason, the appearance no more remains. It's a brilliant way of thinking, This is how Brahman, the Vivarta Karanatvam, and therefore, it appears appearing different from what it is. Ghatate, so that is feasible, tenable. And so Vedanta explains, Ajnanam Kalpanamulam. Kalpanamulam samsara sarva kalpanaya mulam ajnanam. Meaning that the immediate cause of the universe is ajnanam or ignorance. What you might call the parinami upadana karanam, or the material cause that undergoes transformation, that cause is ajnanam, maya or ajnanam, which has two aspects, the avarana and the vikshepa. And so, as far as the immediate cause of the universe is concerned, is ajnanam. Atadrupa pratibhasa hetuhu. So, ajnanam, avaranam, by causing vikshepa, pratibhasa hetuhu, the ignorance becomes the cause of pratibhasa appearance. Atadrupa pratibhasa hetuhu. Appearance of something that is totally contrary to what the reality is, that's what ajnanam does. Tathacha chit avidya vivarteshu. Chit avidya, because chit is atma. Consciousness, avidya, vivarteshu karyeshu. Therefore, the things are not directly superimposed upon atma. Just as even snake is not directly superimposed upon rope, is rope ignorance which causes the snake. And so the chit avidya, it is ignorance of the consciousness, the self, which self himself has. Vivarteshu karyeshu sattatmana bhasmanataya karanatvam. But what is karanam? Karyanvitam karanam. So that which accompanies the karya is called the karana or material cause. And we find that sattatmana karyeshu bhasmanataya. Well, the names and forms of the karya in which we find that satta or existence is something that also accompanies any name and form that you perceive or experience. And therefore, that satta or isness or existence which accompanies every name and form satisfies the definition of cause karanam, because what accompanies karyam? Karyanvitam karanam. In that sense, sat certainly satisfies the criterion of a cause or material cause. And sat by itself is changeless, and so kutastham, that is how kutastham, meaning that in all the changes also there is the experience of changeless. So even though the Buddha says that sarvam kshanikam, that kshanikam or constant changing is always accompanied by, because how do you know the change? Change is always arrived at with reference to something that does not change. So whereas what you perceive is changing, the perceiver is changeless in that reference. That is how kutasthasya karanatvam. and samsarasya niyamakam. Iti anumanam, that niyamakam. So not only the cause pervades the effect, cause controls the effect also. Not only clay pervades the path, but clay also controls the path. Since that path cannot have the qualities which are not there in clay. Similarly, ajnanam, the cause always controls the effect, and therefore samsaras ajnanam, ignorance, we say to be the cause of the universe also is the what controls, meaning that the universe must display ajnanam. It cannot display anything else. Ajnanam anvaya vyatirekakyam pramanam suchayati. That ignorance also pervades and thereby controls the universe in the sense that universe is nothing but ignorance, manifestation of ignorance. Tari ajnana vishnavikyam brahma pratyaktena anubhava. So that is why then, if you say ignorance also is cause, that is the parinami karanam. Brahma also is cause, adhisthana karanam, kutastha karanam. Then what is the nature of the self? Kim ajnana vishishtameva brahma pratyaktven ansandeyam. How should I contemplate upon myself? That ajnana also I am, Brahman also I am. Therefore, am I a Brahman qualified by ajnanam? Says no. Hitva samsaya niyamakam ajnanam hitva. The ajnanam is something which can be let go, which can be dispelled. Sakaryam ajnanam hitva. Recognizing ajnanam does not have the same locus as the Atma. Yushmat asmat pratyegocarayoh. Ajnanam is yushmat pratyegocharam, Atma is asmat pratyegocaraha. Vishaya vishayinoho. Ajnanam is in the place of Vishaya and Atma is Vishayi. There was Sakshi and Sakshya. So Sakshatvena tasya Sakshi dharmatam badhitva, that ajnanam does not possess the qualities of a witness. Ajnanam does not possess the quality of subject. It only possesses quality of object. So that is how the cause controls the effect, that the universe which is created from ignorance also is only object. So that is the quality of ajnanam. And object is something that you can do without. By focusing the attention on subject, you become free from consciousness of object, and that's how. Tasya sakshi dharmatam badhitva. So because of the ignorance and superimposition, looks like ajnanam also is sakshi. But in sakshi and ajnanam, they seem to be experienced together. But then ajnanam is experienced as sakshya, as the object of witness, and Atma is experienced sakshi. So then we recognize the difference. They will let go of jnana, which is sakshya or drishya. Atmanam pratyancham sakshitvena urvaritam. So bhada avaditaya. So when negation takes place, what remains? Urvaritam. What remains after negation? Sakshitvena is sakshi. Then sakshi also does not remain primary, says understand. When the idea of sakshi is not there, idea of sakshi also is not there. Param Brahma, Paripurnam, Muktam, Karyakarana, Prapancha, Samsargarahitam. Ajnana has no samsarga with the sakshi. The sakshi or Atma is asangoyam purusha, has no sanga, no samsarga, no relation, no connection with drishya. Ajnanam, which is in the place of Drishya, Atma has no connection with that. Therefore, samsargarahitam, samsara samsargarahitam, prapancha samsargarahitam, Atmanam. Advayam, abhayam. Now there is no duality to make a clear division, therefore fearless. Aham Brahmasmiti Mahavakya Bhutam. Meaning of Mahavakya. This is meaning of Mahavakya explained here. Sada Vidyat Anusantadhyat. May you contemplate among yourself in this manner. That I am Sada, so Abhayam Brahma I am, Muktam Brahma I am. Now continuing with verse 18. Samsara Niyamakam Ajnanam. The ma seems to be missing, it is in my print here. Samsara Niyamakam Ajnanam. Samsara Niyamakam Ajnanam Hitva Atmanam Brahma Vidyati Yuktam. Hitva, giving up, letting go, negating, Ajnana ignorance, Samsara Niyamakam, that controls the samsara. That does not allow samsara to exceed the boundaries of ignorance. That's what is meant by control. Hitva Atmanam Brahma Vidyati Yuktam. So giving up the ignorance, and therefore the division caused by ignorance, and therefore the sense of limitation caused by ignorance, recognize that all of these are just projections. The sense of limitation or feeling about yourself is not your reality. The division that you seem to experience also is not a reality. Therefore, undivided, indivisible, Brahman, the truth you are, Yuktam. Tatra kaha samsara, samsaratsa niyamakam. Ignorance is niyamam, control of samsara. Tatra kas samsara. What is the samsara that is controlled or that is projected? Katham va tasya jnanam karana. How does the jnanam become the cause of that samsara? Tato va katham atmano viveka syat. And how do you separate the atma from anatma or ignorance? So we were told the hitva. Samsarasya niyamakam kalpanamulam ajnanam hitva. That's what the previous verse said. So hitva, giving up, negating, ajnanam, which is ignorance, kalpanamulam, the root of all the projection, samsarasya niyamakam, which is the controller of samsara. The question is, what is the samsara that we are talking about that is being controlled by ajnana? In what way is ajnana the cause of samsara? And how to distinguish atma from this ignorance? Idapekshayamaha jagrati. So, with these questions arise, that viveka of ajnana and atma is explained with reference to the three states here. Jagrat swapnau tayor bijam sushuptakhyam tamomayam anyonyasmin nasatvacha nasti tatrayan tyajet. So what is samsara? How ajnanam is the cause of samsara, and what's the method of tyaga, giving up, or badha? So first of all, samsara is explained. Jagat swapna, the waking and dream, taho bijam sushuptakyam, and sushupti, which is cause of the waking and dream, tamomayam, which is of the nature of essential ignorance, predominant in ignorance. So that is samsara. Then how to give up that samsara? Anyonyasmin asatvacha. Each state excludes the other two states. So waking is not in the dream and deep sleep are, etc. And then each state is only mithya because It is only incidental. Satyam always persists. Incidental comes and goes. So waking, dream, deep sleep state, they exclude each other and therefore they are all mithya. Recognizing that trayam tyajet, and that's how recognize, give them up. So Tika says, Jagrat Swapna, what is that? Sthula, Sukshma, Vishaya, Bhoga Lakshanau, Samsara iti Shesha. So Jagrat Swapna consists of samsara, meaning the Vyavhara. What is Jagrat? Sthula, Bhoga Lakshana, Lok Lakshanam Jagrat. Jagrat is, waking is characterized by the Bhoga, the experience of the gross objects. Sukshma, Vishaya, Bhoga Lakshana, or Lakshanam, Swapnam. Swapnam is the, dream is the experience of the subtle objects. Samsara consists of this. Because Sushupti we are not aware of any experience. Therefore, in waking and dream we are conscious of experiences of gross and subtle objects respectively, and that's what samsara includes. It consists of Tayoru bijam sushuptakyam tamomayam. Tayoru bijam, cause from the sushupti is the dream, and from there the waking. Therefore, the sushupti is avyakta, unmanifest, and cause of the manifest states of dream and waking. Taha bijam karanam tamomayam ajnanam tamomayam sushuptakyam. So sushupta, the deep sleep state, is called tamomaya. Says the Tika, tamo bijam iti vaktavya. In fact, it is tamas, or ignorance is what is there in sushupti or darkness. Therefore, tamas is the cause of the waking and dream, you should have said. Why tamomayam? So here mayat is prachurya, that means tamo jnana prayam, essentially more or less ignorance. Sushuptakyam, sushupti sanyitam. So sushupti, what is called sushupti sanyitam, is tamomim ajnana prayam, predominantly ignorance. Tamo bijam iti vaktavya. In fact, it should have been said that the dream and waking have their root in the ignorance. Why? Why predominant ignorance? Mayat prayogat ajnanasya swatantriyam vyavaryate. Understand that ignorance is not independently the cause of waking and dream. Ignorance gains the capability of being the cause. Savasam tamo bijam ityartha. That ajnanam also contains the avasa, the reflection of consciousness. In fact, the chidavasa first is in ajnanam. Through ajnanam in the buddhi, and through buddhi in the other aspect, other layers of the personality. So up to the tip of my ear, everything is conscious because the body is conscious, because sense organs are conscious, because prana is conscious, because manas is conscious, because buddhi is conscious, because avidya also is enlightenment. Avidya itself is only inert or unconscious. It cannot be the cause. So even ajnanam also by itself cannot be cause unless the ability which is there in ignorance to create is there, and that is by the chidavasa. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dasamyam. Even the Maya also gains the competence or ability to create the universe when that Maya also is enlivened by the reflection of consciousness, meaning that by consciousness. So ability of ajnanam also to be the cause of creation is only because it is blessed by consciousness. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Prakriti can create sacharacharam. The moving and non-moving only in my presence, not by itself. So ajnanasya swatantriyam nivaryate. Ajnanam also is not cause on its own, it becomes cause because of being enlivened by the reflection of consciousness. Savasam abhasena sahitam abhasam ichidavasam. Savasam ajnanam, ignorance along with the reflected consciousness. As I said, this is a model. Reflected, nothing to be taken in total sense, but like a reflection of sun, as though light enoughs the water in which it gets reflected. And so also the consciousness livens up, enlivens the ignorance, and therefore imparts to ignorance the ability to create. Meaning that ignorance cannot be caused independently without a blessing of consciousness, which blessing we call Chidabhasa. That's why the teacher says, Tamo prayam, susuptakyam tamo mayam, or tamah prayam, ajnana prayam. Meaning it's not purely ignorance, it is ignorance accompanied by or blessed by the consciousness. Evam karya karana swarupa muktva, thus waking and dream are the karya, and the deep sleep or ajnanam, which Chidabhasa, Havasam Ajnanam is the Karanam. So when you understand now Ajnanam Kalpana Moolam Samsarasa Niyamakam, that's explained here now. Hitva, the verse said. Tyaga Prakarama Hitva, giving up this Ajnanam along with samsara. How? So then the next line of the verse says, Anyonyasmin asatvacha nastiti etatrayam tyajed. Anyonyasmin asatvad. Because each one is present in the absent in the other two. Meaning each one excludes the other two. So anyonyasmin sthula, sukshma, kan avasthanam, anyonyasmin avastha satatvad. So these three states are sthula waking, sukshma the dream, kana the deep sleep state, anyonyasmin asatvat, they are not present in the other two. Sattva vibhicharat. So we know very well that when I am awake, I am not sleeping, I am not dreaming, and so forth. So that is something experienced. Chakarat dushyatvacha, the waking, dream, deep sleep, all these are also dushya, meaning that they are all objects of experience or objects of awareness. So this is the qualification that the samsara has, which makes it rejectable. That you can let go, that it is incidental. We can only let go which is incidental, we cannot let go the essential. And therefore, what is incidental, that fire, for example, can become, like a lamp flame and something incidental. That can go. Fire itself cannot go. And so what comes and goes, like this thing that is coming into the sandalwood, incidental. By rubbing the sandalwood against the stone, that will go. So waking, dream, deep sleep, they are all incidental. Meaning that not only that one is not there when the other two are there, but all the three are not there when the fourth is there. It is called Turiyam of the fourth. It's not fourth, but still. And so, etatrayam drajvam dushta sarvadharadivat atmani tathanyatram chanasti. Recognize that in Atma there is no waking, there is no dream, there is no deep sleep. So now the waking is not there in the dream and deep sleep, but waking is not there primarily in the Atma, because it is dushyam, it's incidental. So it is something that is coming and going. That being the case, waking, dream, deep sleep are not in each other, nor they are in Atma. They are not in one another, nor are they in Atma. So recognize this, because Atma is essential. And these are all coming and going. Something is superimposed and then goes away, and superimposed like the snake on the rope, or the rope can be perceived as a snake, as a stick, as a streak of water. Atmani tataha. So just as the snake, the rope snake, is neither in the rope nor anywhere else for that matter. Don't say snake is there. That's not the snake that we're talking about. No, that is asatyati, and this. So those fellows say that the snake, the silver that is in the jeweler's place is what you are seeing here in the shell. Or silver in your mind you are seeing there. It's nowhere. Vedanta says silver that is nowhere is what you are seeing. So don't say it is there and seen here and is inside and seeing outside, is not there at all, satyati, etc. These states are not in each other, nor they are in the self, and then only they can be completely negated. If it's some place you can't negate it, you see, that's the whole idea. Only mithya can be negated. Anything that has any trace of satyam cannot be negated. So, anyatram chanasti iti jnatva tyajed vilapayed. So, atmam shodhayed ityartha. So, atma is thought to be waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, shodhayed. Purify the atma by giving up the anatma amsha. And thus recognize Atma as Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham Banyante. Tyajed iti yukte. So give up this ajnanam, samsara and ajnanam iti yukte. Kartrutva, you are giving up. Kartrutva pratitehe, that means that Atma has kartrutvam, because how else can you give up this ignorance? Katham Atmana Brahmatvam. If Atma possesses Kartrutvam, then it is limited. How can it be Brahman? And so the Kartrutvam is explained now. It's all in different ways, but anyway, how Kartrutvam also is a Brahma is explained now. Atma buddhi manas chakshuhu आलोकार्थादि संकराद भ्रांति स्यादात्मकर्मेति क्रियाणां सन्निपाततः. आत्मबुद्धि मनः चक्षु आलोक अर्थादि संकरात् क्रियाणां सन्निपातः. This is how the Anvaya is. Kriyanam sannipatah. Sannipatah samudbhavah. That kriya or the action in fact takes place. Action arises, action takes place. How? Sankarat, by the admixture of these things. What are things? Atma. So Atma deha. Here word Atma means deha. Buddhi. Manaha. So this is how chakshuhu, aloka, artha. So when the perception of an object takes place, artha, the object is there, shabda, sparsha, rasa, rupa, rasa. So in objects such as the color is there. Aloka, then there is also the sunlight or light that illumines that. That's sahakari karana. Not only in light, but everywhere, not only you require the object, that object must be illumined for the perception, organ of perception to perceive that. Then chakshu is what perceives. Manaha, chakshu is enlivened by the mind. That's further enlivenment by the buddhi, and all of them are housed in the atma or the body. Sankarat. So all these are, so when these fellows get together, automatically karma arises. So kriyanam sannipatataha. This, see, because the body, sense organs, mind, intellect is all there, and sense objects are there, and they are illumined. So you perceive them, you experience. Something is going to happen. When something is experienced, then there is going to be some reaction. You like it, do not like it, happy, unhappy, and so some action will take place. So when all these factors come together, like the scientists say that in primordial soup, when all the matter, became a certain temperature and these conditions were created, then consciousness emerged. But what I'm saying, that's an example of how something emerges. Similarly, when these entities, the buddhi, manaha, sense organs, body, sense object, and elimination of sense, when all these things get together, something is going to happen. There won't be quietude at all. There cannot be, tranquility. Some disturbance will happen. Because the sense objects will trigger something. And some response will happen, and that's how. So, kriyanam sannipatataha. Therefore, kriyanam sannipata means what? Samudbhavaha. The kriya takes place when these factors are all mixed up together, or when they sankarat, they're all mixed up together, or when they all come into play. Arthadi, then lok arthadi, adi padat, desha kaladis graha. Of course, desha is involved, place is involved, kala, time is involved, adi ishvara is involved. They are called samanya karana. So these are all asadharana karanas, and then all sadhana karanas are also there. Atmadina sankarat. What is meant by that admixture sankara? Mitho guna pradhana bhavena adhyasat. Because when buddhi gets identified with the mind, gets identified with the sense organs, identified with the body, so guna pradhana bhava adhyasa takes place. In adhyasa, one is gunam, other means pradhanam principle, that is secondary. So buddhi becomes identified with the mind, and that becomes identified, that becomes principle, identified with sense organ, that becomes primary, identified with the body. So that's how there is this, in adhyasa, there is this guna pradhana bhava, this state of being primary and secondary. Adhyasat hetu, this adhyasa, that all takes place. Doesn't take place and there is no karma, understand? If these things do not, the adhyasa does not happen, it's not merely the presence of sankarat. Sankara, sankaryam is there. That mixing up is there in the form of adhyasa. So guna pradhana bhavena adhyasa hetu. So buddhi has the abhimanam, and then that goes into mind, that goes sense organs, and all the samskaras are there, that also should be included, and therefore the sense objects trigger those samskaras, and some, feeling takes place. I like it, I do not like it, want it, that something happens, and then karma happens. So feelings are in the mind. Then buddhi receives the consciousness from the atma, enlivens the mind, and so this is how the whole setup is there for disturbance. There cannot be tranquility in this setup if you just leave it to itself. And all the samskaras are there also in manifest state, they will keep on coming up and triggering things. So as the Sankhya says that these three gunas, they are imbalanced, therefore activities will take place. So they explain the activity that way. Here, activity is explained this way. Action takes place on its own, that's the whole idea. Nobody performs action in that sense. Kriyanam sannipata samudbhavad. So karma takes place, therefore atma karma, that atma is doing, this is the conclusion. Atma alone is conscious. And so Atma is performing karma. Karma takes place. Because the nature of the entity is to be active. And so when they get the right kind of atmosphere, naturally activity, action manifests. And you have to assign that authorship to somebody. And so Atma karma, Atmana kriya, this is action by Atma, this is what is assumed. The Atma tadhisthanavuta kutasthopi karoti iti bhranti syad. Therefore the bhranti happens. When karma takes place, bhranti happens. That Atma is doing. But Atma is present there. In fact, Atma is present sannidhi, as a presence, as adhisthanam, blessing everything. Tayoranyah viplam swadvati anasnananyah abhichakashiti. So one of the bird too, this fellow keeps on going from branch to branch and experiencing different fruits of different taste. But the other one is abhichakashiti, anasnan. So Atma is anasnan, abhokta. All bhoga takes place in the upadhi. Atma is abhokta. But then the bhoga that takes place in upadhi is thought to take place in Atma, and therefore Atma is taken to bhokta, in this case karta. Because Atma is present. Tad adhisthana kutasthopi. Atma is adhishthanam, very substrate, very platform on which all this play takes place. The screen on which the play, all the movie takes place. So one may think that screen is doing all this. Iti bhranti sya. So how does the bhranti of kartritva arise? Tyajet, may you give up this. That means, are you a karta? So are you a tyag? So tyag kriyayaha karta. Is it what you are karta? He says, no. Kartritva is bhranti because nobody does anything. Things happen. Vedanta says that when the gunpowder and fire, then the explosion happens, nobody does it. It's the nature, hydrogen and oxygen combined and this happens, that's all. You don't need kartrutva, it's the nature, it's built into hydrogen and oxygen when they combine, then water happens. It's the nature of things that action takes place. This is important. Vedanta's analysis that action takes place, nobody does anything. Potential of action is built into this matter. All you need is a certain combination. When that takes place, Atma is a witness of everything. Atma gives satta sphurti to all of this. There's a platform on which all this business happens, but Atma doesn't do anything. So bhranti syad, therefore, Atma karma, this is karma of the Atma, that bhranti happens. Tasmad Atmana svato nishkriyatvat nishkiram brahmatvam aviruddhamityartha. Even when karma takes place, even when Atma is thought to perform karma, that is only a notion or a brahma. Therefore, Atmana swatah niskriyatvat. The sakriyatvam is all in the upadhi. Atma on its own is niskriya, actionless, changeless. Therefore, nishkiram brahmatma, with their Atmana, the Atma in niskriya Brahma is not contradicted by the activity that we see. Now, everything is different in this text, See, with examples are all unique examples are given here. Anya dharmasya api anyatrarapi drishtantamaha. How the attribute of one are superimposed with other. The drishtanta is the different kind of drishtanta. So next verse says, Nimilon milane sthane vayavyetena chakshusha prakasatvan manasyevam buddho nastah prakashatah. Nobody ever thought of this. Nimila unmilane. the closing and opening of the eyelids. Eyelids close and open. Sthane. So where the eye is, in that place, opening and closing of the eyelids take place. So this Vayavya, this action of opening and closing is due to Vayu. The Atma opens the eyelids and closes them. The eyes open the eyelids and close them. It is a Vayu that does it. See, we say eyes are opening, eyes are closing. Eyes don't do that. Vayu does it. Prakashat, because eye are simply prakasha. Eyes are simply of the nature of light. In this case, light of seeing. And so light cannot do anything. All that is done by Vayu. So Vayu opens and closes eyelids, and that opening close done by the Vayu superimposed upon the eyes, and we say eyes are opening and eyes are closing. Manasevam buddho, similarly mind also and buddhi, they don't do anything, no action. And still action is attributed to mind and the intellect. So that's what Tikakara says. Ye netra golaka sthane nimilon milane dushte. Netra golaka sthane. Golakam is a location where the netras or the eyes are located. In that aperture where the eyes are located, nimilo unmilane, nimila unmilanam. So closing and opening of the eyelids are drashte. This is what we see is closing and opening of the eyelids. Where do we see them? Where the eyes are in that location. The Vayavya, Vayukarya, the closing and opening of eyelids is brought about by Vayu. Kriyatmakasya Vayoho tadashrayatvat, because Vayu alone is Kriyatmaka. So Kriya can take place only because of Vayu. Na chakshurindriyasya, the sense organ called the eyes, eye is not responsible for opening and closing of the eyelids. Tasya prakasharupatvat, prakashatvat or prakasharupatvat, because eyes are simply of the nature of light, which illumine the respective object, the color and form. Kriyashatva, so prakasha cannot be kriyasha. Light cannot be the locus of action. Only Vayu can be the locus of action. And therefore, we wrongly think that eyes are responsible for opening and closing of eyelids. In fact, Vayu or air or prana is responsible. Tathapi chakshushevate vipadishyate adhyasad. And still, we say that eyes are opening, eyes are closing, whereas eyes are only shining, they don't do anything. It's all done by Vayu or prana. So how the adhyasa, superimposition of the movement of the eyelids, which belongs to prana, is superimposed upon the eyes. Evam manasi buddhau chalana chale nastha. Similarly also in the mind and buddhi also, the chalana chalam, movement, and then so sometimes mind is quiet, sometimes it is disturbed. So restlessness of mind, the restlessness that we find, quieted that we find, they don't belong to mind or intellect. Because prakashatvat, nature of mind only is to illumine. Nature of intellect to illumine, mind to illumine. Mind illumines the emotions, intellect illumines the thoughts or decisions, and illumines the sense objects, etc., through the agency of sense organs. All that the mind and intellect do is to illumine. Prakashatvat, therefore, chalana chale nastaha. Because in prakasha there cannot be movement, and therefore there cannot be movement in the buddhi or the mana. Tathapi prana vyaparupe, it is prana that brings about the movement of the mind or the intellect. So the mind is restless, it's disturbed. All of this is not due to mind, it's due to prana that brings about that disturbance. Tayo aropyate, and that still the movement is superimposed upon the intellect and mind. How? Chanchalam manaha, the mind is restless. Thira buddhi, that buddhi is quiet. Restlessness, quietude, all of this, meaning action and lack of action, all that belongs to prana. And still they are superimposed upon the buddhi and the mind. So how what belongs to one is superimposed upon the other? Example of not rope snake, but this example is given here in our day to day, because the rope snake, etc., may be somebody's experience. Or Shuktika Rajara. I have never seen a snake, but this one is definitely we do. So this superimposition takes place in our life. Manobuddhyoho asadharana dharma kathana purvakam prasangikam upavadidam upasamharate. So this prasangika, the kartrutva in the Atma is manobuddhyoho asadharana dharma kathana purvakam. First of all, the author or the teacher, Kathanam states asadharana dharma, the unique attributes of mind and intellect. So first the asadharana dharma, or the unique attributes of the mind and intellect are stated. Prasangikam upavadidam upasamharati. Already kartrutva is not there, there is superimposition, is already upavadidam. Has been already logically explained. Upasamharati is now concluded, sankalpa preceded by the statement of the specific dharmas of mana and buddhi. Sankalpadhyavasayautu mano buddhyor yatha kramat netare dharmatvam sarvam cha atmani kalpitam. Sankalpa is manodharma, adhyavasaya, buddhi dharma, kramat. In that sequence, the itara dharmatva is never that the mind does this adhyavasaya or the buddhi does this sankalpa. Sankalpa is always done by the mind and adhyavasaya done by the buddhi. So this is asadharana dharma kathanam. This is the kathanam, the stating of the asadharana, the unique dharmas that manas and buddhi possess. Prasangika, what is prasanga? Adhyasa takes place. Sarvam cha atmani kalpitam. All of this is kalpitam, projected upon Atma. So Tikakara says, sankalpa dharmakam manaha adhyavasaya dharmika buddhi iti vyavastha. So this is vyavastha. This is how the order is, because everything should have its own nature and not mixed up with some other's nature. That is how the universe is. Everything possesses unique nature. There is no mingling. That all of a sudden sun says, now I am not going to stay, I am going to do moon's job, and moon says, I will do somebody else's job. In human being it happens, in nature it doesn't happen. Here you can have, that happens. But then, nowhere, not a dog does the job of a cat, and they do exactly what they are designed to do. And therefore, it is vyavastha, otherwise there will be no order in the universe. If these dharmas, everybody doesn't do what they are designed to do, and then they have the freedom, nobody is given freedom other than the human being. So only he can abuse the freedom and mess up everything. It is given for him to properly use and to help everything. At the same time, it can hurt everything also. So helping, hurting, both are possible for human being, not for anybody else. Including buddhi, mana, all of these are designed to do certain things, and that vyavastha, the order is there. It is vyavasthaya vanda sankayam ityartha na itara dharmatvam There is no sankayam, there is no mixing up of one assuming dharma of the other. And fire says today I'm going to be cold, and ice says I'm going to burn. That kind, otherwise you can't live your life. There is a predictability, in nature, and that's why the laws of nature are there. There is no law for the human being. So, how many laws are made? But as far as everything is concerned, the law is there. You don't need a constitution, you need to understand things, that's all. Here you constitute, you have to control this fellow. This is human right, and this that right, and that right, and woman's right, and you have to tell him. Otherwise he will do what he wants to do. He does it anyway, but still. So this vyavastha obtains in nature. So there is just a statement here. Meaning that all of these activities belong only to the respective things which are all designed to do what they do. Mind is designed to do what it does, intellect is designed to do what it does, and sense organs, everything is designed to do what it does. So all the doing belongs to all these entities. Atma is just adhishthanam, just the mere presence of the witness, abhichakashiti, anashnan. Tasmat kutasasya atmana svatak kartrutva asambhavad. Without these entities, Atma appears to be karta. So it is true that Atma's presence is required. Without presence of Atma, these entities cannot do anything. Even Manaha, Buddhi, Indriyani, nobody can do what they do without the blessing of Atma, Abhichakashiti. So Atma merely blesses. He is just present. Maya Adhyaksha, I am just Adhyaksha. I just shine, not even I supervise, I just shine. So that Atma's presence is much required for anything to happen. And so it is thought that Atma is doing it. Presence of eyes is required for the eyelids to open and close, no doubt of it. Eyelids must be there. So we think that eyes are doing that. And so also Atma karma, Atmana karma, Atma is doing is just a Brahma. Kutasasya Atmana Svata Kartru Asambhava. Because Atma is Kutastha. Changeless thing cannot perform any activity. Activities, Vyapara is involved. So Kartrutvam is all Vyaparavat. And Atma is Nirvyapara because Kutastha. And therefore there cannot be inherent Kartrutva or doers in Atma. Avidyadescha. And so number one, Atma cannot do anything because Atma is Kutastha. The teachers, other fellows also cannot do anything. Avidyadescha, Jarasya, Swatantrena, Pravritya Sambhavat. So body, sense organs, prana, mind, intellect and ignorance, all of these are achetana by nature. Avidya, beginning from avidya and buddhi and the manaha, indriyani, deha and vishaya, etc. Jadasya, they are all unconscious. Swatantrena, pravritya sambhavat, they also, so Atma cannot independently do anything, nor Anatma can independently do anything because it is achetana. Then maybe they combine jada, jadayoho, paramatada, sambandha anirupanad. In reality, there cannot be sambandha or any kind of contact between Atma and Anatma because there cannot be contact of that which changeless or conscious and unconscious cannot contact each other. Saram. So that is all of this. That's why the thing is, you can't explain kartrutva, you cannot explain action. You can't explain anything because there are only two entities, Atma and Anatma. Neither Atma can be samsari, nor Anatma can be samsari. Atma is samsari because it transcends everything, samsari, kutastha. Anatma is achetana, therefore it cannot be samsari. Therefore, samsara has to be kalpitam. That sarvam sahetukam samsara bandhanam atmani kalpitam. Why kalpita? Because you cannot explain it. How can you explain snake there? So it has to be kalpita. In appearance only. Therefore, samsara has to be as appearance only, cannot have reality. Because there are only two entities, Atma and Anatma. There cannot be samsara in Atma, nor can there be samsara in Atma, and still there means what? Adhyastam, the Paramartha. So that is how Vedanta says. They give all kinds of definition of what is what, it's all mithya. So Nayayikas pride themselves in explaining everything. Very complicated, long definitions they will give to give precise explanation of what is what. Vedanta, nothing can be explained. Poor Nayayika goes to such great length to explain the lakshanas, and then they are very precisely. You are trying to explain something which is appearance, not really there. So, na parama iti sadaiva atma advayam brahma iti siddham. So, whether an action takes place, does not take place, whether waking, whatever it is, atma is always sarvada sadaiva atma advayam brahma. In all conditions, atma is advayam, non-dual Brahman. That's what it is. It is siddham. So, prasangikam siddham. This was a prasanga. That atma is Brahma, advitiya Brahma. And so, that is now established here with the reasoning here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.